Didn't let go.
Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and this is your Factivist Report for Sunday, the 17th of September. As we speed on into the fall, we want to make sure you understand just how vacuous and authoritarian and downright nasty the GOP is, and how they are actually destroying American democracy right in front of your faces. We don't want to leave any stone unturned here. So I'm going to start this off with Dave, who's going to read him a list that he has made for himself.
So this morning, I realized that I didn't have a news story that encapsulated every single little thing that the GOP has done, whether it be through federal government, state government, local government. So I compiled a list of everything that they've done in recent years, probably from 2020, and I'm just going to read it to you. And some of this, most of it, we're going to cover in the rest of the show. Back to an insurrectionist, back to basically a coup, and many of the right wingers, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, support a secession and have openly stated that they support a divorce from the red states from the country. Promoted lies regarding the 2020 election. Protected criminal and unethical behavior within the GOP, which is while at the same time they are trying to oust from the local level to the federal level elected officials from the Democratic Party side, anywhere from you have school board members all the way up to the President of the United States with this BS impeachment proceeding, or several at this point. So the loading of the Supreme Court to promote right-wing agenda, and in the meantime, they are dismantling gun protections, affirmative action, right to choose, and environmental protections through Supreme Court decisions. They've blocked numerous legislations while at the same time talking about how ineffective the Democratic Party is, because the Democratic Party, without some support from the Republicans, they're not going to get some of this done.
By the way, let me say something about some of the legislation they have blocked.
Let's talk about the
infrastructure plan.
Yep.
Not one of them backed that plan, but they all came with their handout when it was time for the Biden administration to hand out.
Exactly.
So now all the losers like Ted Cruz, all the people who voted against it, like Rand Paul, are now taking the money and telling their constituents how they were instrumental in getting this money for them. Understand what we're talking about here, okay? They had nothing to do with the infrastructure plan except to block it.
Okay? Remember, that's not a new thing. Remember Hurricane Sandy and Chris Christie coming with his handout. This has been going on forever with Republicans, by the way. So the GOP, from Trump to DeSantis to many others, put the public at risk regarding COVID while promoting supplements and alternative medicines and railing against masks and railing against vaccinations. And
let me just point out one thing, because we're on the campaign trail now.
Yep.
I'm getting my vaccine tomorrow, my booster for the fall.
Yep. Yeah.
As soon as the new COVID boosters were announced, Ron DeSantis didn't miss a beat on the campaign trail railing against him, the new vaccines. Okay? He's doing it even now, folks. All right. This is something people need to understand. All right. Most legitimate candidates who care about the nation are building public trust in the systems of government, not tearing down and eroding the public's trust in the things that are here to protect them. They have been protected for years by vaccines. All of a sudden, they're a problem.
Not only have the Republicans attacked school curriculum and promoted book bannings, they have attempted to regulate morality, which is laughable given the morality of some in the GOP. And we will go into some of that. I'm not going to get crazy. And do not tell me that I'm cherry picking. I have over 300 indictments, arrests of Republicans who have committed crimes. All right, I'm not cherry picking when I'm talking about Lauren Boebert or Boubert or Anthony DeVolda or any of these people. They're in office. They should be held to some base standard. I'm not talking about Gary Hart here with his monkey business. I'm not even talking about Kunst with her cheating on her husband. I mean, I'm not even talking about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, also,
I'm not even talking about Kristi Noem having an affair on her husband for years, because you know
what?
I'm
sorry, I meant Kristi Noem, not Kunst.
Oh,
apologies to Kunst.
All right, so
Kristi Noem, yeah.
I'm not even talking about that. Just, you know what? Just don't call yourself the party of family values. That's all.
Right. And the party of morality. God help.
The party of morality, as you shoot down the other side of the coin, and you're doing exactly what they're accusing them of doing. So
right. The final one, the weaponizing of government. Now, what do I mean by that? If you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to call for your impeachment. That is blackmail. Okay? That is the weaponization of government, trying to oust a Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin before she even gets in. Ousting
Warren.
He was
elected, by the way, in Wisconsin.
Elected.
They elect their Supreme Court judges. They're not appointments made by the governor.
Right. Remember Warren in Florida. He was a district attorney, I believe.
Yeah.
He was kicked out, prosecuting attorney. He was kicked out by DeSantis because DeSantis didn't like him. Now, I don't like McCarthy by any stretch of the imagination, but because McCarthy is trying to work through a budget and not completely strong arm Biden, Gates and his little minion monkeys are trying to strong arm McCarthy, as we all knew they were going to do.
Right. And by the way, McCarthy's walking a tightrope that he cannot manage to get across the bridge on. I will tell you that right now. He put himself in this situation, right, by playing footsie with these 20 morons, and they are, they smell blood in the water. They are hell-bent. They are Trumpians. He will throw everybody under the bus to save his ass. They will throw anybody under the bus to achieve their goals. The MAGA Republicans, they absolutely will. They have no moral compunction whatsoever. They don't give a shit about you.
Right. Now, I'm going to start this. I'm going to say there's not since probably the civil rights movement in the 60s or 50s and the 60s have we seen this. Probably the fact that the GOP is actively using hate to legislate.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. So I'm going to start with this
joke. I think some people think this can't happen here. I think we're still in that phase for some people. It's freaking happening right now.
This is the Southern Poverty Law Center, and they have a section of their website called Hate Watch. Hate Watch monitors and exposes the activities of the American radical right. Now, we did a whole thing on Moms for Liberty. We did a whole show on them. Flipping a school board. We went through all of that. Now, here's the one that I want to show. Libertarian leak, extremist ties, anti-LGBT remarks, and GOP collaboration between the Colorado GOP and the Libertarian Party. And it looks like they may be not adhering to Federal Election Commission rules. Take a look at the article. The point is that they are actively attacking minority groups, including LGBT. Okay.
That's not what the government was intended to be, by the way, just so everybody understands.
Now, this is a great article by Vox. I apologize for the image. Scared the hell out of me. I thought it was a freaking, horror show. It is a horror show, but in a different way. Show. This is just some, she was a visitor at CPAC.
CPAC. What would you expect her to have on her face? Never mind.
So, yeah, let's not go there. So this is a story from March 1st of 2 years ago. March 1st, 2021, pretty much right after the insurrection, actually. The Republican revolt against democracy explained in 13 charts. I'm just going to kind of go through, and
this is Vox, right?
This is Vox. The Trump years revealed a dark truth. The Republican Party is no longer committed to democracy. These charts tell the story. Now, this is from 2 years ago, and it's continued. It absolutely has.
In fact, it's only gotten worse.
Yeah. Today's Republicans hate Democrats and democracy, embracing anti-democratic ideas, embracing violence, saying Democrats is something worse than mere rivals. That whole rhetoric about they must be executed, they're traitors, all that stuff. That's number 3. No compromise. The Republican Party is a global outlier and not in a good way. So this is a 2019 poll of nearly 2,000 experts on political parties from around the world, rating political parties on 2 axes: the extent to which they are committed to basic democratic principles and the commitment to protecting rights for ethnic minorities. They're off the charts. They're leaning towards being one of the most anti-democratic political parties in the developed world. Okay. Number 6, the Republican turn against democracy begins with race.
Yeah, it is.
Anti-democratic behavior. Partisanship causes Republicans to justify that behavior. 8. Deb might want to talk about the right-wing media for a minute. You want to talk about the right-wing media?
I do. I just want to talk about, maybe in a broader scope, the media in general. From what I remember the media as, now I studied journalism for a short period of time. I went into advertising instead. Now something I wish I had thought twice about, but at one time, the media was considered I think it was called the fourth estate. It was a check and balance on the government at all levels. Okay, local newspapers, local government, all the way up through the line. Okay, the Boston Globe would not only cover the federal government, but the local government, the state government. So what has happened is, instead of exposing, in a lot of cases, with the newspapers becoming corporate owned rather than family owned, privately owned, there's been some compromise in the way, news is delivered, and no compromise can be more stark than on the right side. They are literally collaborators with criminals. Right. And, misinformers and liars. Look at, Fox News has just lost a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, and they're about to be, go through another one with Smartmatic now. And they're still at it. They're still doing the same old shit. They fired a bunch of people and brought in a bunch of more junk to sit behind a screen and, spew bullshit at you. Okay. And there's always Jesse Waters and whatever the other moron's name is, Gutfeld, whatever. They're always there.
Right.
Laura Ingram's always here to brighten everyone's day. So quite frankly, what I see on the other side of the coin, is equally disturbing to me when you have a guy like Bob Woodward who, managed to write 3 books about Donald Trump. And he had information, and instead of breaking the news, now I understand he was, not attached to any newspaper, he saved it for his book. That's disturbing to me. When you uncover something like that, and you've been a news guy, no less a news guy, but a guy who worked on Watergate, who was instrumental in breaking that story. But yeah, the news media is not here to be Donald Trump's buddy, but they are. And I don't know what I don't understand it, except to say it's all about the ratings.
Right. And the media taking part and helping the Republicans help push an unpopular policy agenda. All of what the Republicans are doing is unpopular.
It is.
It's been unpopular. But we get mired in propaganda, and over and over again, we continue to elect some of these guys. Lauren Boebert, for one of them.
In Twitter, Twitter is not for nothing, but Twitter's a cesspool. It's a cesspool now. Okay, it is nothing like. I've been on there since 2008.
Right.
It's a cesspool. There's some real, right wing trash out there.
I have to correct you, Deb. It's now X. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Old habits die hard. It's X, whatever that is. It's Twitter.
Now, here's the thing. When we'll talk about this when we talk about the New Mexico governor. Some of the most consequential Republican attacks on democracy happen at the state level. State rights. However, when a governor tries to do something that they don't like, all of a sudden it's no longer state.
Right. We'll let you do that, but we won't let you do that.
Right.
Oh, not that. You can't do that.
And the final one, the national GOP has broken government through what do you think it is? The filibuster.
Yeah.
How many filibusters have happened in 2020? It skyrocketed to 298.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking unbelievable. The
So
most democratic thing on the planet, next to maybe the Electoral College. But yeah. I don't know.
So here's something I wanted to mention, because I mentioned at the end, the long list of topics. Republicans want banned from the classroom. They talk about morality. They talk about parental rights. They talk about all of that stuff. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Republican lawmakers call these topics divisive. trying to press legislation that could ban them. Capitalism and free markets having racist, inklings, a negative account of U.S. history, books about LGBTQ. Equity is superior to equality. So, creating a quasi-activist approach. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'm just going to mention it. The education system has always given parents a way to opt out of certain programs. So all of this is unnecessary. You already have a way to opt out. You just let your school know.
That's right. And it absolutely is just ridiculous. All of it.
Here is another thing that's ridiculous. Over 487 criminal scandals by Republicans. Feel free to peruse this at your. It goes anywhere from bribery to sex crimes with minors to groping to resisting arrest, DUI, fraud.
Oh, Ronnie Jackson.
Ronnie Jackson's in there. Yep.
Donald Trump witness tampering. That's perfectly great.
Felony media depicting minors. Renee Pedrosa.
I'm going to print this out.
Yep.
Look at it and take it with me.
There's a ton. I'm on Bundy. Who is that? I remember that.
He's the guy that had the standoff. He was the guy.
Right.
What state was that? Was that New Mexico?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what it was. Nevada, New Mexico. They're all the same to me.
Was he the guy that has been kept from running for office forever?
No, maybe, but he's just been in trouble again. He's just been in the news again, but I can't specifically remember what it is.
Okay, Yeah, I didn't know these two. So here we go. Alliance for and not all of these guys. Some of these guys are social media. Some of these guys are activists, quote unquote. Right. Alliance for a pro-life Alabama chair, Cole Wagner, sexual interaction with a minor. For God's sake.
Seriously.
Engaged in sexual contact under the age of 10. Jesus Christ. Stephen Crowder. Some of you may know him. Salacious comments, communications, and sexual harassment. Texted multiple pictures of his exposed penis and other sexually graphic images to a former employee who described his behavior as super creepy and groomer-ish. And by the way, he won't be in here, but would you like to announce what's his name?
Oh.
The social media jackass. I can't remember his name now. Russell. Oh yeah, Russell Brand.
Yeah. Well, apparently, what year was that from? Do you remember?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but it's
apparently he was. They covered up for his sexual harassment problems at what? NBC? Was it NBC?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is,
it was
the thing is, look, the man used to flirt with women on camera. Okay, they have him on tape all over the place.
Right. I mean,
here we go.
Not just flirting, but I mean, come on. I mean, flirting,
grabbing women, all that kind of stuff. Right. And here we go. We're going to be talking about him. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton threats to use power of office, called and threatened several Texas state reps with political consequences if they voted to impeach him for corruption. And by the way, they're continuing those threats after he was reinstated.
Right.
And we'll have a conversation about that. So there's all sorts of people in here. Clay Higgins, official offensive touching.
And that's not football either. Okay.
Right. Bruce Miller, conservative athletes, threatened to execute Eric Swalwell or send him to Guantanamo Bay in a threatening private message he sent to the congressman on Twitter. How stupid can you be? Send in a DM. Well, it's a DM. Nobody will see it. And I remember this one too. Rudy Giuliani. I'm surprised they call it theft. He refused to pay his staffer, Noelle Dunphy, and promised wages. Kept telling her it would have to be deferred, and her employment kept secret until divorce proceedings he was going through at the time concluded, but never paid her even after the divorce was finalized.
What a guy.
Oh, one last one. Because I want to talk about Rhode Island for a second anyway. City Council member Matthew Riley for illegal drugs. Okay, passed out in his car in a parking lot after consuming crack cocaine laced with fentanyl and was later found to have two crack pipes and white rock-like substance in his possession when people arrived to check on him after a concerned citizen reported it looked like he was choking and exhibiting signs of an overdose. Look, I don't care what you do in your private life, but this is a bit much, and who knows if he's addicted to crack.
Alive? Did he make it?
I don't know.
I probably would have seen that. That's not too far from where I live. It's
right.
New England. I probably would have seen it somewhere.
You have seen it, but the bottom line is, if he's doing crack cocaine, who's to say that he's not high while he's performing his duties?
Of course.
So I was going to do a short show, but I'll mention this now, that the Rhode Island primaries, Gabe Amo won the Democratic primary for Rhode Island. 10% of voter participation is abysmal and embarrassing. We have to stop with the low voter turnout, figuring that, hey, we're going to win that anyway. Or, hey, this is an off year Democrat. I don't want to hear anybody upset that Regensburg didn't win. He lost by less than 3,000 votes. You could have more than gotten him in if you really, really wanted to. Gabe Amo is more than qualified. That's not the point, though. If you guys want any of this to change, you need to start voting.
Can you go back to that list for a sec?
Yeah.
What was the date of that story?
May 15th, 2023.
All righty, are we ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Buckle your seatbelts. A former Cranston City Council member who was arrested last month on a drug charge.
Okay.
Was arrested and taken into custody Thursday on child sex charges, including first-degree child molestation.
Okay.
Sources told NBC 10 News that the allegations against Matthew Riley involve a young girl he met online. So, yes, there is an update to Matthew Riley.
So there you go. He is no longer a city council member.
He is not. And he is now doesn't just have a problem with illegal drugs either.
Jesus Christ.
So the plot has thickened in that one. I have that article. I'll make sure I put it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the start of our journey. I mean, before the insurrection, we were still critical of the Democratic Party. This was our wake-up moment, the January insurrection. Now, this was 1 year after it. And this is an article about the Atlantic talking about the Republicans and their efforts to destabilize the country. All right. And you may say, "Oh, Dave, you're being dramatic."
No,
Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't call for. Yeah, she did. She called for secession of the red states because, see, I understand that Marjorie Taylor Greene is not logical. Okay, I get that. So you're going to leave the state because of immigration policy. You're going to tell your state, whichever state that is, to
What?
leave the country. Now, what happens? Let's say, just for argument's sake, say Texas secedes. Okay, just for argument's sake, they're screwed now when there's a storm. They have their hands out now. Okay, they're gonna expect aid from the United States. No, 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 no,
Well, no.
no.
Marjorie Taylor Greene did say, however, that she expected to still be able to trade with the rest of us. Just so you know, you can all breathe a sigh of relief. All right. I feel better already.
Just so everyone knows, I'm running out of free articles from the Rolling Stone. Deb has her own thing. We're not going to go into those weeds, Deb, please. But
What weeds?
the weeds about why, with the Rolling Stone and
Oh yeah, no, I don't give a shit.
no, let's not go there yet.
Yeah.
This is an article from last year, November 8th, 2022, by Tim Dickinson, Nikki McCann, Ramirez, and Ryan Bort, the most dangerous Republicans on the ballot. I believe one of them made it. Okay, so yeah, they won't let me.
I can say I'm good till October.
Okay, so
I'm
there
healthy.
was one guy, the junior congressman or the junior senator from Missouri. I believe his name is Schmidt. He was the one guy that made it. We got guys like Kerry Lake, Doug Mastriano, all those people. The bottom line is they throw enough of these people at you, and they figure at least one of them is going to get in. They're going to make inroads.
Well, she's
Understand that.
back. Carrie Lake is going to run, and so is Blake Masters. They're going to essentially run at each other for the Senate seat.
This is an article from the Atlantic. Again, not going to read it all, but feel free. This is by Ronald Brownstein, The Republican Axis Reversing the Rights Revolution. Now, this is involved. This is from December 24th, 2021. This is basically talking about them loading the Supreme Court to reverse all sorts of things. And by the way, during the football games today, there was an advertisement that has been coming out in regards to trying to take away contraception rights.
What the fuck?
So if I see the article, if I see the advertisement, I'll try and put that in. But that's the next one that they're going to try to hit you with. And given the fact that that doesn't hit any minority, and as a matter of fact, it affects men, the men are not going to be happy. So here we go. Texas Attorney General acquitted in historic impeachment trial. The bottom line is they never had a chance.
Historic.
I
think that's hyperbole.
Yeah, I think so too. The bottom line is,
but it's not historic.
Nah. When you have to depend on Republicans to police itself, are you kidding me?
Anyone who thinks that on any level, whether it's the state of Texas or in Washington, D.C., at the seat of our capital, if anyone thinks it's the same party that it was, because there were a lot of Republicans against Nixon back in that day, it is not there anymore. That party is long gone. It has been gone for a while. But the MAGA party now, it is definitely long gone. And this is coming back.
Right. This is an Associated Press article by Paul Weber and Juan Lozano from today. So Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is back on the job after acquittal, but Republicans aren't done attacking each other. And this is what they mean by that. I have the quote directly. The fallout in the Texas Capitol is likely only the beginning and threatens to spill into the 2024 elections. When conservative allies of Trump-backed Attorney General say they will target Republican legislators who led the investigation against Paxton.
It's the retribution tour, just like Donald Trump's tour to the next White House. All he does every day is talk about how he's been done wrong. He does not even campaign on issues. The only issue is all about him. Just saying.
Remember Kinzinger, remember, the whole thing. Remember the January 6th commission, all of that. Any Republican that has ever crossed me will rue the day, blah, blah, blah. Now, so Kim Paxton talks about, the weaponization of government against him. What's the first thing he does? Warn Biden to buckle up because he's coming after him. But understand, Ken Paxton is the law enforcement arm of Texas state government.
He has nothing to do with that.
And he has nothing to do with federal government, by the way. Just so you know.
He's another jug-headed, right-wing nitwit. I don't know any other way to describe these people. I'm way beyond the point of being nice about it. I just can't,
By the way, continue to
earlier in the broadcast, if wasn't one of those poll questions where the Democrats see Republicans as their enemy?
Yeah.
And more Democrats see them as their political opponent as opposed to their enemy?
Well, no, that was Republicans see Democrats as like traitors. They want to hang them, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely one of those Democrats who sees the GOP as the enemy. I just
right.
In there. I'm weighing right now. They're not a political opponent. They are now a fascist, right-wing fascist authoritarian movement. That's what the GOP now is.
Next, we're moving on to Wisconsin. Understand this. We covered Janet Prasiewicz. We pushed for the election of Janet Prasiewicz. The Supreme Court judges in the state of Wisconsin are elected. Janet Prasiewicz, by the people. Janet Prasiewicz was elected. Before she even got into office, Republicans were talking about impeaching her.
And the reason they want to impeach her is because she switched the balance of power to the left by being elected. It's as simple as that.
Right. So the Associated Press, a member of the secret panel studying Wisconsin Supreme Court justices' impeachment, backed her rival. I mean, when you study whether or not someone should be impeached, I don't know. You should have some impartiality. There's no impartiality here. There's no impartiality. Yeah, I do believe.
First of all, but
she wasn't even in office.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you are investigating someone, I am leaning towards having a non-partisan part of government that is the investigative arm. Okay. They have to be completely nonpartisan as much as humanly possible and unimpeachable. I don't know how that would happen, but to expect any Republicans to police one of their own, for God's sake, George Santos is still in office.
And by the way, he supposedly is under investigation Where is that?
Right. I don't know whether. And by the way, going back to Ken Paxton, there are still active criminal cases against him. So you know.
Right. So
A
he
lawsuit has been filed to block the potential impeachment of Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Janet Prasiewicz. By the way, she hasn't. She's done very little so far.
her first hearing was September 7th.
Right.
People.
I'm just saying.
What did she do? Tie her shoe wrong? I mean, I don't know how much more blatant you can actually get. How much more blatant do you want to get?
Right. Now, I'm not talking about the Tennessee 3. I'm not talking about that stuff
That was
yet.
bad enough.
That was bad enough. This was crazy. Okay. Here's another one. Coach Tommy Tuberville.
Look, I just have to know. Is it Tuberville or Tuberville?
I believe it's Tuberville, yeah.
Is it?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay, because I switch it up. Because
at this point, does it matter?
No, because I have other things I'd rather call him than
of course
either of those.
So military officers begin to speak out on the harm done by this senator and his hold on promotions. Okay. They're talking about people who have promising careers bowing out because they have concerns about their family one way or another. Okay. And like it or not, to some degree, I don't agree with the amount of money spent on hardware and all that by the American government, but we do need a military. We do need staffing. We do need officers. And Tommy Tuberville, he believes that he has the right to block and freeze military promotions because of the Pentagon's abortion policy.
That's what this is all about, because they won't take the protection, or they won't cut the funding for enlisted people who get abortions. That's what this is all about.
Yep.
All of this is about that one issue. All of this. And let me just say something. I understand everybody likes to hate the military. Okay, I get that. But I have to just say this. I'm looking at this like on a worldwide perspective, and I'm looking at a guy like Vladimir Putin out there, and I'm looking at a few other people as well. And I'm thinking, if you think we can just like mess around like this and leave positions open like this with no leadership, what is it, the Army? First time in 265 years? Or is it the Navy? It's one of them.
I believe it's the Navy. I believe it is.
No leader for the first time in 265 years.
Right.
I'm going to say this. It's unfortunate that we're in this situation, but not everybody on the planet is
a good guy.
A good guy. And, you can choose to disarm yourself and decide you don't want to do that anymore. And you know what? That doesn't mean that some other schmo across the continent over there, across the universe over there, is going to comply with what you want. We need soldiers, and we need it. We're just going to have to deal with the fact that this is the world we are in. We want to change that world, then we have to work at it. Okay.
And by the way, it's not just about war and fighting foreign enemies and fighting domestic enemies. It's also the Army Corps of Engineers and helping with storms and things of that nature.
The Coast
and disaster relief and the Coast Guard. Yeah.
Maybe the disaster relief as well.
Yep. So I just want to talk very briefly. The man was a coach back in the day. He's a white former coach who worked with young black men. And at least one historically black college that I know of. You wouldn't know it to hear Tubaville today. So this is an article by, I believe, Jeff Pearlman. Yeah, Jeff Pearlman, July 28th of this year. Once upon a time, but really not that long ago, Tommy Tuberville was a master salesman to young black men in America's inner cities. He was a football coach, and he brought young black men to his college football team. This was before he became a United States senator with an indefensibly racist and transphobic track record. It was long before he argued that trying to diversify the military would only weaken it. And it was before he told CNN's Caitlin Collins that white nationalists aren't necessarily racist. He ultimately conceded under the pressure that, okay, fine, white nationalists are racist. I'm just saying. This is the man who is controlling the military right now.
And
now,
can I just say one thing before you go back to this?
Yeah.
The other question I have, or the other statement I want to make, is that Tommy Tuberville is one man who gets to hold up all of this machinery.
Right.
One man gets to make this unilateral decision. He's not the head of the Senate. Okay. He's not. He's okay. And I have not seen one GOP member stand up and call him on this and force some kind of vote. I've not seen it. Instead, they've allowed him to go on Fox News and blame the Democrats for this morass, which is patently ridiculous. He's blaming the Democrats because the Democrats won't renege on their promise to the enlisted military people that they would be taken care of. This is, to the Democrats, medical care.
Yep.
All right. That's what this is all about. And yet he's allowed to do this. And this is why the Republican Party is dead in America, because they allow this to happen, and it happens over and over and over and over and over again. And there's never any accountability. There's never any resolution. This will ride out until there's a fucking disaster. That's what will happen. And then they will turn around and blame the Biden administration. That's what they will do.
Now, I want to show you what happens when the New Mexico governor governs, makes a decision. The decision is blocked by a judge. She's like, okay. She pulls back on that decision. And then the Republicans, of course, call for her impeachment because she made a decision. So let's get into it a little bit. This is what was happening. Kids were dying. There was an 11-year-old kid that was killed in a drive-by shooting in New Mexico. The New Mexico governor, let me make sure I get her name right. So Michelle Lujan Graham. Okay, I knew Lujan was in there somewhere.
Grisham.
Yep. Grisham? Yep. Oh, I can't read. Grisham. Okay. She decided something has to be done. She put in a temporary hold on open carry. Okay. You want to call it a ban? Okay. For 30 days. Republicans lost their mind, and the Democrats pushed back too, actually. So a federal judge temporarily blocked the ban on open carry in New Mexico's largest city after the order by the New Mexico governor. Okay. So saying that the 30-day suspension of concealed and open firearm carry in Albuquerque and its surrounding county went against a landmark U.S. Supreme Court ruling that people had a right to carry a gun outside their homes for self-defense. What does she do? She scales it back. She says, okay, fine. I'm just going to ban it. How's this? in public parks and in playgrounds. Are we good? I don't want kids to get killed. What do the Republicans do? New Mexico officials call for governor's impeachment after firearms restriction.
Yeah, that's the reason everything. You don't like something that your opponent's doing, you take them out of office.
Right. Now, these were two Republicans, but still, this is the typical response.
It is. They talk about weaponization of government. They point their fingers at the Democrats, and they are the ones that are weaponizing government. Bill Barr was weaponized when he was in the Department of Justice. No question about, no matter what he's saying about Trump now, he was Trump's protector.
Yep.
And Trump's, doler out of, pain, quite frankly.
Right.
So, this is nothing more. This is their plan. It's like removing the Tennessee Three. That's the plan, is to to take over power by whatever means necessary. Taking Janet Prasiewicz out by impeachment, taking this woman out by impeachment. You're pecking away at an opposing party through the system itself.
Taking
more apparent.
Taking Warren out in Florida,
Exactly.
Taking out school board. By the way, a school board member, that election is just as important as any other.
Exactly.
Okay. So, and by the way, just like with the Texas legislature, the House, they have no problem throwing one of their own under the bus to get their agenda rammed through. McCarthy challenges right-flanked colleagues to try to oust him from his post. He said, just file the fucking motion. That's his words. Just do it. Just try it. Okay. I'm not a fan of McCarthy by any stretch of the imagination.
He put himself in that boat.
And he put himself in there. He sold his soul for that.
Yep. Now he can,
that was going to happen.
Now he can fucking live with that. He's on a tightrope, and I don't know how far he's going to get across the canyon.
Now, Biden's already slammed the right wing for this. Government returns to trying to prevent a government shutdown while the GOP weighs an impeachment inquiry. Okay. They made a deal. Now they're trying to back out on it.
Yeah.
To ram through some of their agenda.
Yeah.
All right. Now, my final talk, I almost did this as a short show. But yes, we're going to talk about Lauren Boebert for just one moment, because stop pushing morality while at the same time making a fool out of yourself. I don't really care what you do in your private life. I don't. But when you affect people in the public by you and your boyfriend groping each other in front of kids, that's unacceptable. And a business owner does have the right to kick you out. So I picked this one simply for the headline. This is from the Colorado Sun. Okay, from Jesse Paul, from 6:04 p.m. September 15th. I simply fell short of my values. Lauren Boebert issues apology after being removed from Beetlejuice performance after becoming too excited. She was frustrated by her divorce, blah blah blah, whatever.
He got a little frisky.
Right.
Yeah.
The Republican Congresswoman said, while none of my actions or words as a private citizen that night were intended to be malicious or meant to cause harm. The reality is they did, and I regret that. No, you don't, because of your past history. Your past history shows that you don't care.
She is just another freaking entitled white person. I don't know what else to tell you. I can just imagine, the outrage, if she wasn't. So,
Well, I'm not going to say the words because I don't know if you're going to put this on Facebook and I don't want to get thrown out, but you are white, something that you would throw out. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, come on with your Daisy Duke redneck nonsense.
exactly.
Over and over and over again. You're embarrassing the country, not just yourself. You're embarrassing yourself, your state, and the country.
I you know
Okay.
I just can't imagine anyone voting for her now. I couldn't imagine anyone voting for her to begin with, but now I really can't.
Right. She's had minor arrests. She's had all that stuff, you know, redneck nonsense. Her her family like knocking over mailboxes, her dogs attacking other dogs, whatever. Look, don't pretend to have moral outrage. And by the way, I don't care.
Don't pull the law and order bullshit when
Right,
you don't show up for your summons. I
right,
don't care how minor it is, but when you're running for office and you've done that shit, you've failed to show up for summonses, you've flaunted yourself in front of the law enforcement, ignored them, laughed at them, whatever. Don't call yourself law and order. Don't get into that because that's bullshit. You're not law and order.
right. Now, this is from the advocate, so I'll call it out as hypocrisy, but it's also dangerous. All right. I don't care that her boyfriend, you know, is a bar owner that has hosted drag shows, that, owns a gay, I think it's a gay bar. Doesn't matter if it's a gay bar, straight bar,
It's a gay
gay
friendly.
friendly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine, but stop, stop like promoting yourself as something that you aren't. Okay. You're not this overly moral person that's worried about the kids. I believe that Colorado story does have the video in it. If it doesn't, the video's everywhere. I don't need to show it. We don't need to see it. But they're groping each
I
other.
recommend you do see it.
Yeah,
I
you
do.
know.
Because it's very clear that
Yeah,
whatever she was lying about that she wasn't doing, that she was definitely doing
she
it.
was doing it.
All of it.
They were groping each other, and
The vaping and all that shit.
yeah.
It's just
Oh,
there's reports out there that say that woman who taps her on the shoulder in the video tapped her on the shoulder and asked her to leave. What I actually heard was that the woman who tapped her on the shoulder was pregnant and asked her not to vape. That's what
right.
okay? I don't know which one it was, but they don't allow vaping in that theater, okay? They don't.
But here's the thing. You're worried about the safety of the kids from drag shows, and you're vaping in front of a pregnant woman who's asking you to stop because she's pregnant, and you basically laugh at her? Stop. You don't care. You don't care about the public. You don't care about public safety. You don't care about public decency. You showed it over and over again.
And was that in Colorado?
I believe so, yeah.
She doesn't even care about her constituents then.
That's what I'm saying.
She's right in her own state, sticking it right in their face. How much more do they need? She's revolting.
Can we please look? We need the House back to stop the nonsense and to stop this strong arming of people to hold the budget, to ram through unpopular unpopular. Again, I'm going to say it again. All of this stuff that the GOP does is unpopular. They have to do this kind of thing to get it through,
Yeah,
to
they
ram
do.
it through.
Yep.
And they're it's being done by people who do not care about their own public. I'm pretty sure it was in Colorado. Now, Adam Frisch is gradually and steadily gaining ground, thank God. But they're not the only ones. What are we doing here? We're not going to be able to save every state. You know, Florida's going to be a fight. By the way, Deb mentioned this. Every single state, is it state senate in Virginia or state house?
I'm going to read the quote. All 140 Virginia state legislative seats are on the ballot this year.
That's everything. So we have a golden opportunity.
And I'm going to look at it more because I want to make a video on it.
Right.
I believe that they have identified 17 races of those 140 that could keep them on the progressive side. That's
right.
That's what I think that whole thing was about.
Now, if you remember, I mentioned the replacement for Donald McGeechan. I've mentioned some of the grassroots groups. It looks as though they are back on the right track in Virginia in terms of fighting some of the fascism and fighting Glenn Youngkin and all of that. But you do not want Glenn Youngkin to get a supermajority in that state by no stretch of the imagination. On top of that, remember, you have school board fights in Virginia that could determine the momentum of school boards in the country.
There's something else too that they point out in the article, and again, I haven't read the whole article. They consider Virginia an important state in the abortion battle.
Absolutely.
And so that's part of what that it's woven into that whole story. So I want to read the whole story and see how it all what those 17 races are.
What I will say is that once you get north of Richmond, then you're talking about more south of Richmond. You have, not the Dixie Crab, but you have more of the southern, more Republican leaning stuff. And then you have north of Richmond that leans more towards the Democrats. But there's a hardcore fight in the Northern Virginia school boards, and there's this weird, just battle going on about the whole parental rights thing and all of that. Right. Thing is, again, you guys have the right to take your kid out of a class or of a program that you don't agree with. But they've always had up
to take that away from
everybody.
Parent. They want their kids to have that information. I'm sorry, but I would want, and I did my child to have sex education in school. Both of them.
Right.
So I don't know what to tell you. I thought it was essential.
If you are still in the mindset that the Republicans and the Democrats are the same, they are not by any stretch of the imagination. By none.
Not even close. Every day the Republicans get out of bed and say to themselves, how can I make the American people more miserable so I can gain more traction? I'm serious.
I know.
All they think about is themselves, their power. As the article said, they're no longer committed to democracy. They're committed to autocracy. That's what they want. And even in the Senate,
right?
where they remain silent about many things. That's being complicit, in my opinion.
In the dark days of the Trump administration, Trump won. Hillary Clinton bitched and moaned and groused about it, but she didn't call for an insurrection. She didn't call for, hearings. She didn't call for any of that. She wondered what the hell happened. Now they did mention, Russian interference, and by the way, it happened.
Right.
It happened.
Right.
And they weren't calling for the overturning of the election. They wanted to look into it so it wouldn't happen again.
Right.
Just so you know.
So
there is a difference.
Systems.
Yeah.
Yep.
What we have for now.
Yep. We're good. We will see you all next week, but really take heed, folks. This is going to be do or die time next year. We're going to be where we are right here today. This will be September of next year, 2024. We'll be 2 months out. 2 months out.
We're going to be screaming at the top of our lungs. We really are.
But this is do or die. It's either, democracy or autocracy. You let them back in, folks, game, set, and match. Say goodbye. Starts two happy voices now, so we can all sing Good Night, Irene together. All right. I'll talk to you next week.
I almost did it.
Bye.
Bye.